You give somebody a wish, they wish for 1,000 wishes. But if somebody's unhealthy, you give somebody a wish, they just wish to be healthier.
Growing up wasn't very awesome at all. I knew as I was dating in high school, especially college, the first thing I'm looking for is someone that's going to be an amazing mom.
We have an interesting business model where we opened our first office in Chicago, and this was right after COVID, where everybody was going remote and giving up their office space. And I doubled down and I only hired people if they were willing to be in office.
What do you think about the guy I've seen going viral lately?
Giuliano Mozzarella?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a nut.
Yeah.
You got to recruit him, dude.
I've looked at his IP though.
Not good?
He's not closing, but he's getting a ton of views. The truth is, when things are going really well, it's not going as good as you think. And when things are going really bad, it's not as bad as you think. Having the discernment and the humility to know, is this battle worth fighting? And is this worth dying on a hill for? And 95% of the time,
What's up, you guys? Welcome to another episode of Successful DNA. I have my friend Jonah Lewis with us today. Jonah, welcome to the pod.
what is going on? Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, dude, thanks for coming, man. Let's start with this. For those listeners who has no clue who Jonah Lewis is, let's do like 2-minute elevator pitch on what your business is, what you do. Then we'll talk through the story behind it.
Yeah, so run a remote sales organization in the life insurance realm.
Okay.
And so I've been doing that for about 5 years. First 2 years, I was a large personal producer, made deep six figures on my own pen. Since then, has transitioned towards hiring, developing, and mentoring other people, teaching them how to produce on a high level. So at this point, we have an office here in Tampa, Chicago, Scottsdale, Arizona, South Dakota, and we've got almost 500 guys on the sales team.
Damn. So what's top line a month?
We're doing 4.6 million issue paid. That's in total commissions. Last month we paid it, so we paid out over 4.6 million to our agents.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money, dude.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's awesome. Where did it all start?
It's been grinding. So
Started in South Dakota.
Yeah.
What was childhood like?
So it was different. It was different.
I've been to South Dakota.
There's not a lot out there.
Yeah.
You're not missing a lot. I'm the oldest of 8 in my family.
Oh, wow.
So I grew up in a small town.
How old are you?
How old am I now? How old do you think I am?
You're young.
What'd you guess?
27?
Oh, you're close. 26.
Yeah.
My wife is 27.
Yeah.
Got me a sugar mama.
And how old is the youngest sibling?
He is, so there's a big age gap. He's 3 years old now.
Okay.
So there's seven boys, 1 girl. But grew up in South Dakota. Long story short, came from not only a small town in the middle of nowhere of 1,000 people, but was homeschooled up until 8th grade.
Nice.
So super sheltered and had a great childhood for the most part. And then mom died when I was 14 years old. And then my dad got remarried about a year later. And me and my stepmom didn't get along. And me and my dad were kind of on rocky terms in high school. And, I didn't have the right habits, wasn't making the right decisions, was going out partying and smoking weed. And in my house, if you did anything that was out of the norm, that was just no bueno.
Was that a religion thing, or was that just your dad, or?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Mainly Christianity.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up very Christian, very, very conservative. You can imagine just the typical Midwest farmer.
Yeah.
Old school.
Yeah.
Type. So.
How'd your mom die?
She died of colon cancer.
Dang.
Yeah. So it's actually a pretty crazy story where between when she got diagnosed to when they found out, it was already stage 4, and she passed away 3.5 weeks after we found out. So it went really fast. So that's why I'm very health conscious now.
Yeah.
And I'm just eat clean, eat super clean, take care of my body, work out every day, because the number one most important thing is your health in life. You could be a billionaire, but if you're on your yacht and you're sick, the only thing you're thinking about is your health.
Yeah.
It's that classic saying, you've probably heard it. You give somebody a wish, they wish for 1,000 wishes. But if somebody's unhealthy, you give somebody a wish, they just wish to be healthier.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
And then high school, college?
So never went. I had a little bit of a phase where I wilded out in life. So got actually kicked out of my house at 17 and got arrested a couple times. So I went through a pretty dark season in life where I wasn't really sure who I was or what I wanted to do with my life. And that was the period of my life where I would say I hit rock bottom. And I'm so thankful I went through that though. And I experienced that, because going through those experiences and, basically going to the far other side of the extreme of making all the wrong decisions, not being disciplined, making the wrong habits and everything else, it shaped me into who I am today. And without that, I wouldn't be the person. And I think that for every man alive, and rock bottom's different for everybody, but especially for men, hitting rock bottom is one of the best things that can happen to you, because it really grounds you and shapes you. And once you hit rock bottom, the only way to go is up.
Yeah.
And so went through that. And then I hit a point where I said, this can't be the rest of my life. And I'm big on radical transformation. I don't go halfway in anything. So stopped drinking, stopped smoking weed, got completely sober, started to go to the gym, working out 2 hours a day like an absolute maniac. And it was just, and I read the book. I'm sure you've read it, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Yeah.
Read that book at 18 years old. And growing up where I grew up, it's very sheltered, very closed off. Didn't grow up with social media. We didn't even have a working TV in my house. So my entire life, especially being homeschooled, I was instilled with the belief, like, you are who you are. God has a set destiny for you, and He created you to be that person. You really don't have a lot of control. Like, you don't have a lot of say over your life. It's kind of just things happen how they're supposed to happen type of thing. And so I read this book, and I fell into a victim mindset for a while, but I never wanted to have a victim mindset, because I look at some people, and there's a lot of victims out there, and I look at some people where it's easier to cope. And it's easier to play the victim mindset because they want to blame other people. But there's other people where that's just how they were conditioned to live, and they don't believe or know that there's a better way. And I definitely fell into the second category. So I read Think and Grow Rich. It forever changed my life. And then I got obsessed with personal development, reading business books. I got back into church, eventually developed an actual real relationship with God, because I grew up in the church and memorized a ton of scripture as a kid and everything else. But to be honest, I didn't have a real relationship. And so started doing that. And then I came to the realization about 9 months to a year after that, where I knew that if I wanted to be successful, I had to get out of my hometown. I've never met anybody that is a multi-millionaire or highly successful that's still living in their hometown. So I'm a big advocate of moving. If you want it, the best thing you can do to be successful is move.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, where should I move to? I'm like, well, my options were Omaha, Nebraska, and Minneapolis, which were about 3 hours from my house. And I didn't like either of those cities. I don't know if you've been there, but not a lot going on in those cities.
Yeah.
And the next best option was Chicago, which was 8 hours away. So I'm like, all right, Chicago's pretty sick. You got Lake Michigan there. Chicago in the summertime is beautiful.
Yeah. That's what I hear.
So I moved to Chicago at 20 years old and didn't know anybody. Moved to downtown, and dude, it was a complete culture shock, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
That switch, was it that book, or was it something else, or was it just all the book?
The book was what started it.
Yeah.
And then from there, I read The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And then I read countless other Atomic Habits and, all the classics. I could go down the list.
And what was the switch from religion to relationship?
I spent a good majority of my life running from God, and it really hit me that God was calling my name, and He saved me from a lot of things. And I started actively opening up and listening. And actually, Pastor Aaron Burke, he was talking a couple Sundays ago, which really hit me on the same topic. He said that if the devil can't make you bad, he'll make you busy. So for a while, he was distracting me and trying to make me bad. But then it's also very easy just to get caught up in, not listening. A lot of people are, they're like, oh, well, I've been praying for a miracle. I've been praying for a sign or a blessing, but have you been actively listening to Him? And so once I started treating God like this, I think a lot of people think of God like this Zeus-like figure sitting on His throne, and you need to talk to God a certain way, and it needs to be, very professional. Where once I just started talking to Him and really opening up to Him and being honest and talking to Him like He's my Father, and He truly cares, and telling Him what's on my mind, what I'm struggling with, being vulnerable. And one prayer that I've prayed for the past 5 years is, God, give me wisdom, strength, and discernment. I've prayed that every single day, a lot of times twice a day. for the past 5 years, and he's blessed me with that. And something I recently started praying as well is break my heart for what breaks yours. So before we got on this podcast, I was talking to you about just these the orphanages we're starting in Guadalajara, and that's something that God has really put on me and my wife's heart this past year and a half is being more involved in that and really giving back. And I really believe that's what life's all about.
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong, I love cars. I love having a nice house and the blessings that being successful in business provides. But the real thing is none of it's ours. None of it's ours. It's God's, and we're renting it. Yeah. We can't bring anything on this earth with us. So just having the ability to serve other people, to give back, to forge meaningful relationships. It's the older I get, the more everybody says that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people that say it don't even believe that to be true. But the older I get, I genuinely realize that that's the truth.
The first podcast guest I had was our pastor, and he said, "It's not how much money you make." He's like, "Nothing wrong with making a lot of money." He's like, "I encourage you to make as much money as you humanly possibly can, but this is how you steward it."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any rekindling with your dad?
Yes. Okay. So we have a good relationship now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we've got a really good relationship.
Stepmom?
So.
Getting there?
Getting there. Yeah. It's
what about siblings?
Cordial. Siblings really good.
Yeah. Have any of them gone out and done what you've done, or are they all still there?
Yeah. So my brother Simon, he actually moved down here. He called me 6 months ago, and I've had a couple of conversations with him. I'm like, nothing crazy. It was always along the lines of, hey, like if you're ever looking to get an insurance, let me know.
Yeah.
And he's like, his entire life, he's one of those guys where he loves to work with his hands and be outside and everything else. And he always wanted to start an HVAC company ever since he was little. He wanted to get into HVAC.
I just bought an HVAC company.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Dude, that's a great niche to be in, especially over the next 10 years with AI.
Especially in Florida.
Yeah. Dude, that's going to kill it.
Yeah.
Nice play. But he, one day he calls me, and it was right after he climbed up in an attic. And he's like, dude, I just don't want to do this for the rest of my life. Yeah. So I'm like, well, if you're going to work with me, you got to move down here to Florida. Mm-hmm. He's like, all right. So moved down here and got started in sales. And it's like a lot of people, first couple months were rough, but dude, now he's killing it. I mean, he's 20 years old. He's making 20 grand a month. I could not be more proud of him.
Good.
And not only seeing him make the income, but also developing as a person.
Yeah.
I really believe that getting into sales is the best personal development course you can possibly take. You don't need to pay 20 grand to some guru. It's get into sales, and it teaches you so many valuable lessons. First of all, it teaches you the value of hard work. I thought I was a hard worker.
Yeah.
And then I started this business. I'm like, oh, this is what real hard work is like. It teaches the value of hard work, just communication.
Hard work's subjective.
Yeah. Yeah. How to manage not only how to manage money, but with what we do, there's a lot of sales jobs. This is a little bit more of a sales business where we're purchasing leads and reinvesting back and everything else. So it's been good. And I want to. You said something really important earlier too, where you talked about being a good steward. And I was actually just having a conversation with one of our guys the other day about this, where I think God gives us tests along the way, and He tests us with small wins and small blessings. And some people they don't know how to handle it. And it could be wrong, but the way I see it is if God looks at that and He says, well, if I can't trust you with what small blessings I've gifted you with, well, how can you expect me to bless you with more?
It's funny you say that. Pastor also says God's looking for people He can trust.
Say that again?
God's looking for people He can trust.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The exalted will be humbled, and the humbled will be exalted.
Yes. Yes. Ed Milet talks about how, and I'm a believer in this too, at the end of your life, you're going to see two versions of yourself. You're going to see the version of yourself that you died in, of who you were, and you're going to see the version of yourself you could have become. Mm-hmm. And for me, I know I'm never going to be that second version of myself, but my goal is to be as absolutely close to that second version of myself as I can possibly be. I want to leave this earth exhausted and depleted, knowing that I gave it my absolute all, and I worked hard, I poured into people, I loved people, I made an impact, I made a difference, because we're never going to be remembered for what house we lived in or what Lamborghini we drove.
Yeah.
We're going to be remembered for the impact we make.
How long have you been married? How'd you meet your wife?
Been married a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Best year ever, right?
Dude.
Marriage is the best.
It really is.
Yeah.
I was actually just having this conversation yesterday too, where I was scared to get married. I was really scared to get married for a while, especially because I know guys that are my dad's age and a few years older than me where they just been through some nasty divorces. They just gotten drained. Yeah. Like one of the guys I know, he's in his 40s, and his wife was cheating on him, and so then he filed for a divorce, and then he files for a divorce. He's got to hire an attorney, and he's got to also get an attorney for his wife to battle his attorney, and then he moves out of the house, and then the boyfriend's living in his house that he's paying the mortgage for, and he's paying all the bills, and it's like it was this whole year and a half process, and he just got absolutely drained, and everybody won in that situation except for him.
Yeah.
So after me seeing that, I'm like, for a while, I was like, dude, I don't know if I want to get married.
Yeah.
And if I do, I'm signing a prenup.
Yeah.
Did not sign a prenup with my wife. And dude, getting married is the best thing ever.
Oh yeah.
It's
any kids
to
yet?
The right person. What'd you say?
Any kids yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. But it's.
Where you think marriage is great? Would you have kids?
Getting married is great to the right person, and the key to any great marriage is a couple things. Number one is what we've learned is putting God first.
Yeah.
Putting God at the center of our marriage. So it's God and then my wife.
Yeah. And
same thing with my wife. It's God and then me as the husband.
Yeah.
But then secondly, the best piece of marriage advice I got was to this was actually from my dad. He told me, give without having the expectation to be receiving anything in return.
Yeah.
And that's really good because a lot of people keep a mental scorecard of like, oh, I did this for you, so do this for me. But if both parties can come together and they're there to truly serve their spouse, and they have that heart posture, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I think what we've learned in our marriage gotta be, golly, July will be 10 years.
Let's go. A decade.
July 30th. Which the biggest thing we learned was, obviously you have like your seasons in marriage, right? Your honeymoon phase, then your kid phase, then your second kid phase, then we're on
the honeymoon phase.
Third one coming up.
Yeah.
And you just said it, is God, then spouse, right? I'm never going to fulfill Kylie, and she's never going to fully fulfill.
Yes.
Right? I'm never going to fully fulfill her, and she's never going to fully fulfill me. So if we don't have God there to fulfill us, we're going to go to other things that shouldn't be there, whether that's alcohol, whether that's other relationships, whether, whatever it may be. So I'm glad you said that. Another thing I like you said, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say to add on to your point, I think something that is interesting that I've found in my life, and I think other people can relate with that are listening to this, where anytime I wanted to be in a relationship, it didn't necessarily work out. Mm-hmm. Anytime I was looking for somebody. But what you asked when I met my wife Claudia, so we met actually at an insurance convention in Miami.
Of course you did.
In 2023. So she's helps me in the business. She's awesome. Shout out to Claudia. Shout out Claude. I was at a stage in my life.
Are you sure she's not Claude, right? She's actually a real person.
She's a real person. She's a real person. I check. I think that's going to be in the future, though. People are going to be marrying AI. That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know, I already lost my train of thought. Oh.
You met her at the...
Yeah, so when I met her, really sweet, beautiful girl. But I wasn't looking to be in a relationship with anybody. Didn't really see her anything as more than a friend. And we kind of just kept in touch for a few months, and one thing led to the next. And it was really the first time in my life where I'm like, dude, I'm genuinely just super content being single.
Yeah.
And then that's when God said, it's time.
It's like,
yeah.
I like what you said earlier, just about talking about tough times in life and how, I think of tough times. I almost enjoy tough times because I know that God's trying to teach me something, and I'm going to come out the other side like a seasoned sword, like a sharpened sword. And when tough times come, they're going to give up, right? And I think about, even you said it, my growing up wasn't very awesome at all, and whatever the opposite of awesome is, awful. And just because my mom was mentally disabled, schizophrenic, bipolar, so I knew as I was dating, looking for, so that was tough times, right? That was rough.
My mom dealt with that too.
Yeah, and so I knew as I was dating in high school, especially college, that hey, the first thing I'm looking for is someone that's going to be an amazing mom.
Yeah.
So because I want kids, and I want as many kids that God will bless us with, probably going to be 3, maybe 4, depending on anatomy.
That's a good number.
But I found that with the best mom that can be found on human earth. So I can go do whatever I need to do, I'm home all the time. But when I'm gone, I just know they're in the best hands possible. My dad didn't have that luxury. And so, but if I didn't go through what I went through, I wouldn't be the man I am today, where like, if I can get through that, I can get through anything. Nothing scares me anymore because like and it's also too, you mentioned like, I wasn't saved until I was 18 years old, high school. And like looking back at childhood, there was always something there to like comfort me, even though I didn't know what it was. And it was just Jesus, he knew me before I knew him, and he was there. Through the long nights crying, the long nights, you're crying yourself to sleep. That's cool. You said that.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting how a lot of highly successful entrepreneurs had tough childhoods?
I had another podcast this morning, and it's actually like, I don't know like the statistics behind it, but I was seeing all kind of like reels, so it must be true. It's on Instagram. It's got to be true. But the studies show like the more trauma as a child, like the more success as an adult. Because your company could be falling apart. Yeah. But you've been through so much. It's like, oh, this is just another day. Well, yeah, and then you're trying to. I mean, I don't know if this is healthy or not, but like you're trying to build a life that's so far away from that life, like, and build a life for my kids that's so far outside of that life that like you'll do anything to like be successful to build that life for yourself and your family. Yes. So. Have you read the Elon Musk book written by Walter Isaacson? Yeah. I think it's a book. Yeah. Bible. Yeah. That's where I got another thing is, I think in that book, it was talking about like the more successful the entrepreneur, the more stress they can handle without breaking. His like ex-wife or wife said that. One of the two said that. Yeah. Because how you define somebody is not when they're winning. It's when they're facing trials and tribulations. Yeah. That's what really defines somebody's character and who somebody is as a person. In that book, I would highly encourage everybody watching this to read that book or listen to the audio, but it talks about talking about childhood. When Elon was growing up, there's multiple stories in there. One story was he got into a fight, and this wasn't a street fight. Like, he got jumped by a group of kids, and he got like beat up really bad, but he was curb stomped, and his brother said he was unrecognizable, and he spent almost a month in the hospital. And his dad sided with the bullies and said, oh, well, it's your fault for picking a fight you can't win. Think about what that does to somebody. Like, that's why like he is just conditioned to take risk, win at all costs. Yeah. And he's driven. I mean, I think another thing like entrepreneurs are like really, really good at is like they're willing to take risk that, I mean, the average Joe is just not willing to take. And then the first one's the hardest one. I think it's easier and easier and easier and easier. Like me and you were taking like multiple risks a day, much less like, just first risk this month or whatever. When was your first sales job? How old were you? So first sales job was actually insurance. Okay. How old were you? I was 20. Okay. So what were you doing between like 17 and 20 when you moved out? Not much. Partying it up. Yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah. Working a couple jobs. I always kind of worked hard because that's one thing my dad instilled in me. It's that Midwest farmer grit. Both of my grandparents grew up on a farm in the Great Depression, and so it's like just that aggressive, hardworking Midwest type of mentality that was instilled in my dad, and my dad instilled in me, which I'm really thankful for. So between those ages, I was assistant manager in a retail store, and then I was also working at a company called Builders Millwork. But I was working, but wasn't making anything, wasn't really doing much. Yeah. So selling insurance when you're 20. So what was same company from when you started yours, or would you just bounce around? Or so I started with a captive company when I was living in South Dakota, and was there for about 6 months. It was a great experience. Just wasn't the best culture per se. And then really did my homework, did my due diligence, and found the next company when I moved to Chicago, and have been in the brokerage side since in life insurance. And then at what point did you start your own company? So we're still a part of, because basically in life insurance there's what's called
you have, all right, to simplify it, you have two options. You have captive and non-captive. So captive would be State Farm, Northwestern Mutual, Prime America, like those companies. Typically, the majority of people gravitate over to the brokerage side just because you're at a higher commission. You can serve your clients, put them in best position, and you have ownership of your book typically. Depends on the company you're with. So if you're going to go on the brokerage side, you work through what's called an IMO, which stands for Independent Marketing Organization. So we're a part of Pinnacle Life Group, is the IMO we're a part of. And then in Pinnacle, there's the various agencies underneath that. Cool. Probably similar to what you guys are doing. So Prosper, our company, our agency, we're partnered with Pinnacle as the IMO.
Cool. And when did you create that?
Created that 3.5 years ago now.
Okay. So how many agents you said? 400 what? 500 what?
436.
So 3 years ago, you started with just yourself, and now you're with almost 500.
Yeah. So we actually had an interesting business. We have an interesting business model where we opened our first office in Chicago, and this was right after COVID, where everybody was going remote and giving up their office space. Mm-hmm. And I doubled down, and I only hired people if they were willing to be in office. And so
why?
Because it's a lot more. There's pros and cons to both, but it's a lot more scalable. You have better retention. It's a lot easier to train people, and you have better culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm anti.
Yeah.
Virtual.
So anytime I'd get on a hiring call with somebody, a lot of these people were remote. I would only hire them if they were willing to move to me.
Yeah.
So I got a ton of young people and a lot of young kids to move to downtown Chicago with me. And so we had our OG group in our first office, which is actually pretty similar to this office. This is a sweet space.
Cool.
And we built it up from there and just putting in 12, 13-hour days and just bootstrapping it. And Jake, Turner, and Kyle, after they lived in Chicago for a year, they moved down to Scottsdale. They opened up that office down there. God put it on our hearts to move down here to Florida. My wife, she's from here, so it's always been our plan to come back here. So
She's from Tampa?
No, she's from a small town called LaBelle.
Cool.
LaBelle, Florida.
I know LaBelle is.
Yeah, when we met, she was living in Boca Raton.
In between like Orlando and Ocala area, kind of?
A little bit south of that. Oh. Yeah. So God put it in our hearts to move down here to Tampa, so we moved down here a year ago. And then we also have we got another office in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which is where the largest town kind of outside where I grew up, not too far.
What's like how do you explain the growth from 0 to 400 plus?
What's up, you guys? I wanted to introduce to you our done-for-you Airbnb investing service called BNB Turnkey that has massive tax implications. It's basically an investing service that allows you to invest in cash-flowing Airbnbs and not do any of the work. It's best explained in 3 phases. Number 1, we find, analyze, and underwrite the property. In phase 2, we handle all the interior design and construction. And then phase 3, we manage the property on the back end. The best part is most of our clients qualify for the short terminal loophole of the IRS tax code. This allows for average clients to write off over $200,000 in depreciation on their tax bill. For more information, click the link in the description to connect with our team. As always, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the episode.
It really comes down to aligning and partnering with the right people and having the right structure. When I first started hiring, I hired some of the wrong people, and I wasn't as picky as I am now and have been. And we just, we bring people in and they just wouldn't work out and different things. So once I really niched down the demographic and got really picky on who we brought in, and we only brought people in that possessed all of the values which we're looking for.
Which are what?
Which is work ethic, coachability, positive attitude, and most importantly, character and integrity. And to show like you can really do this and you really want this. And we cut the people we were hiring down by 80%. Like the majority of the people we hire, even now, we don't hire, or majority of people we interview, we're very selective. And so once we started doing that, it was crazy. We started hiring a lot less people and we grew a lot faster, which is interesting. So, and we just poured all of our time, effort, and energy into those individuals, built them up. One thing we spend a lot of time on is just leadership development. So enabling them to become leaders, create their own businesses and everything else, and just most importantly, lead from the front. I'm big on demonstrating you can do it and you can personally produce and you know how to do it. And then from there, promote you to a leadership position and you start building your own business if that's something you choose to do.
Then like, what's like the most common like ticket? Like most common, what are you selling the most?
Life insurance. So like, there's a lot of different niches. Mortgage protection.
Okay.
From that specifically. So we're 95% mortgage protection.
Mortgage protection?
Yep. So it's basically a policy on the home. So if you're sick, disabled, pass away, boom, your home is paid off for you and your family.
Okay.
And a lot of people, a lot of times what we do is it's an ROP option if they can qualify, which is a lot of policies we sell. So if they don't have to use it, they got all their money back at the end, which is a no-brainer. So there's a huge demand for it. And this is a statistic that might blow your mind. 70% of Americans have less than $1,000 in their checking account.
Oh, wow.
And the majority of Americans are paycheck to paycheck. So we're serving middle American families where a lot of them are 2 income dependent households. So if either of them, God forbid, if they get sick, disabled, or pass away, their family's going to be in a really tough financial position. So being able to provide that service to them is not only something that, thankfully we're in a vehicle that pays really well and it pays really good commission. But more importantly, it's something you can really get behind and feel really good about.
Then you mentioned buying leads. How are you buying leads?
So we actually have a cool program where we have in-house media buyers. Because one thing to be aware of in the insurance industry is a lot of insurance companies, they generate the leads and they upcharge them or make a profit off of that. So we sell all the leads at cost to our agents. So we work a mix of direct mail leads and just mailers that are sent out when they originally purchase their mortgage or refinance. They mail it back or they're filling it out online. Either way, they're submitting all their information for mortgage protection, requesting it, so on and so forth. So the way I see it when I'm explaining it to people is, yes, it's sales, but it's really the least salesy sales job you're ever going to have because really at the end of the day, we're glorified order takers.
Yeah.
Because we're calling people that raise their hand and ask for help.
What do you think about the guy that's I've seen going viral lately?
Giuliano Massarelli?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a nut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His videos are hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's he doing? Life insurance?
Life insurance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same pretty much thing, give or take?
Pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
He's with a different company, but very similar.
You got to recruit him, dude.
Dude, I know.
He's a stud.
I've looked at his IP, though.
Not good?
He's not closing, but he's
dude, that's funny you say
he's
that.
getting a ton of views.
That's funny you say that. There was a guy who was like, he's like, I go and I find like, people who are making money and what they're actually making money. He was like, yeah, Julian's not making any money.
He's a great marketer, though.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
Great marketer.
Yeah. So I mean, 3 years. What's been which is extraordinary growth. So obviously you've had like significant pain points. What are like 2 or 3 of those been?
Oh man,
Mistakes you made, things you'd have done different.
That's a really great question. Mistakes I've made. Well, getting sued, which can't really talk about.
Yeah.
That's stressful. Anytime you're in a lawsuit,
For
and
like high level for what?
bringing over a team
Okay.
from another company.
Yeah.
Dealing with that, and other than that, luckily, I don't want to sound condescending because I've definitely made a lot of mistakes and I mess a lot of stuff up on a daily basis. I'm blessed to be in a position where I have really good mentors and really good people in our company and in our space that, and just mentors outside of the business too that I seek. And I'm blessed because I love observing people and I've been a fly on the wall. And there's a lot of mistakes I would have made if I wouldn't have seen people make the mistakes before me, per se. Yeah. So I think just somebody once told me you can either have a big business or a big ego, and that really hit home where I was like, I would rather have a big business. And so sometimes in leadership you need to fall on the sword, and take accountability. And a mistake that I've made in the beginning was not, taking certain situations where you don't always need to be right. And so what I've learned now is even if you're right, you don't need to show it.
Yeah.
And you don't need to prove it. Because another thing a mentor of mine once told me, he's like, well, do you want to be right or do you want to win?
Yeah.
And I'd rather win. So I think having the discernment and the humility to know, is this battle worth fighting? And is this worth dying on a hill for? and 95% of the time it's not. So just let it go.
And like opposite of that, I mean, you mentioned a little bit too, just like going from like 0 to 400. What are like some things that have gone right?
Done right is opening offices and creating really good in-person culture. It's one thing that, especially in my industry, the majority of people are building it virtually. And there are pros and cons to both, where it's a lot easier to hire people, work from home and this and that, et cetera. But really doubling down, and when I hire somebody, we either hire local people or have them move to us, or worst case scenario, like if they got a family and kids, I get it, but at least come down to the office for 2 to 3 weeks to train in person.
Yeah.
And provide housing. So just really creating that in-person experience, opening up offices. We also do plenty of events. So we invest heavily into leadership development, events, bringing people out, but creating that in-person experience, that in-person culture. That's something that has served us really well, and has really brought our team closer together. And then on top of that, I would say this is also a mistake, because I'm somebody where I have no problem. I'm very frugal in my personal life, and I delayed the gratification for a long time. But when it comes to business, I have no problem spending.
Yeah.
So I've made plenty of mistakes investing, but overall, in the grand scheme of things, it's worked out. It's worked out pretty well, and we've made plenty of good investments, plenty of bad investments, but prioritizing and putting the business first.
Yeah, I mean,
has been important.
I'm a big believer in like people need people, and that's why our workplaces thrived here. But it's hard too, because like we have 800 properties across the country, and some more than others. Like in Scottsdale, we have like 3 or 4 employees, so they're virtual because they're only 3 or 4. So we can't like, and they're like in properties all day, right? So it's like there's no point in having an office.
Yeah.
So it's like we push and pull all the time about. I think the lease here is like $18K a month, which in my opinion is like so worth it, 'cause we can have our own events. We're doing the concert Saturday. 600 people will be here, for a country concert. But people need people, and
people need people.
I think turnover is a lot less here compared to most property management companies in our scenario. I mean, between 2025 and 2026, I can count on one hand on how many people have left, right? Of course, we let go of some people. Actually, one, performance was so down, and that's just hard too. It's like hard to fire people these days. You have to put them on PIP, then you have to have, paperwork of showing that, that you're not firing them for any other reason except for performance-based, firings. Long story short, we were like 99% sure that this person had like 2 jobs. They were working from home, and like couldn't find out they did, and like we like caught them in it, and like so we had to let them go. So it's like, but you avoid that when you can when you're beside them all day, you can't hide that. Now we'll eventually find out that your performance is going to slip tremendously, but if it's 2 months, 3 months before we find out, that's just like that's 15-20K of wasted payroll.
There you go.
So it's hard.
Yeah, especially when you're hiring people that are W-2.
Yeah,
that's important. You asked about actually one of the biggest mistakes I've made building the business is, to your point, not letting people go soon enough, and operating from an emotional standpoint versus a logical standpoint.
Yeah,
because there's some people that I've really loved, and people that I consider dear friends, and they either weren't performing, or maybe they were performing. Like one guy we had, he was a high level producer, and I just didn't want to let him go because he's a big producer and he's bringing in volume. But he was a Cancer and he was a negative.
Yeah. And
as soon as I let him go, the office culture increased and our production dramatically increased. So not being afraid to let people go was, and not removing people soon enough that weren't a good fit is a big one.
What makes like a closer elite?
Well, that's a good one. I'm a firm believer that sales is 90% mindset, 10% skill set. So I will forever bet on the 20-year-old kid that, and this was me, that sucks, that doesn't know how to tie his shoes but has grit and is hungry than the guy that has 10 years of sales experience and relies on his skill set. Because any sales job you have, whether it's insurance or door-to-door or what you guys are doing or anything else, it's just as long as you get out there, you've got grit, you've got a good attitude, and you're coachable, dude. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. Like, because it's a copy-paste business. Like in our business, like you come in, you read the script verbatim, you read the script word for word. You have a manager that sits beside you, that mentors you, helps you close, and we have all the training and all the systems laid out in SOPs. And I'm assuming it's probably pretty similar to you. So as long as you come in and you hit your KPIs, you hit your numbers, you hit your inputs, you do what you're supposed to do, you're gonna win. But if you get in your head or you're doubting yourself, you don't have confidence, it's one of those things where everybody's reading the same script. So why does one guy have an 80% closing percentage and why does one guy have a 30? Well, it's because it's all in who you are as a person. Your verbal pacing, your confidence, your charisma on the phone, your ability to handle objections, ability to take control of the sale and build the why, build the intent, show them they need it. All of those different things. And I think a lot of that starts with personal development, because the truth is you're never going to out-earn your level of personal development.
What does your leadership team look like?
It's pretty solid. We're actually doing a leadership retreat here to Nicaragua here in about a month. I'm bringing the guys down there. And
why there? Place are random.
Yeah, I just wanted to do something.
Central America?
Yeah, I just wanted to do something out of the country.
Okay.
We've done them all in America, so I just wanted to. We're bringing a few guys that are outside of our business. Chad Pinter, he exited. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he exited his company for $620 million. So it's going to be. We're going to be going over stuff with the business and different things that we're struggling with. We need to improve on, but a lot of it's just going to be. Faith.
How is it structured? Or COO, CRO, or
so? And it's a 1099 sales organization. So it's built off the MLM chassis per se. And so it's, you have like, let's say you come in and you can either come in and there's two routes you can go down. And I had this decision early on where do I want to go down and do I want to continue to be a big personal producer and start out with life insurance, but eventually get into the higher ticket items, kind of the financial advisor world, and do that, or do I want to come in and build a business? And so everybody starts out at the same compensation scale, and you basically get the insurance companies give you what's called an override or a spread based on the people you're directly responsible for mentoring. So the more volume you do, your sales team does, the more the insurance company bonuses you, and the more you climb in the ranks. So once you come in and you have about a solid 10 to 20 guys that are consistently producing, that's when you get established as an agency. And then you rise up the levels from that.
That was my next question. Like, do you ever foresee Prosper getting into the financial services?
In what aspect?
401ks, investment, stocks.
Well, so definitely higher leverage investments, because we've actually our call. We have a team call after this with a gentleman named Chris Gandy, and so he played in '97 for the Chicago Bulls, and he played with MJ. Really sharp dude. He's out of Chicago, and he only deals with clients that have high net worth. And so what we found is mortgage protection leads, people that are homeowners, is actually the best leads to find a lot of these advanced market items in. Whether it's an annuity or a large whole life that they want to leverage and structure, or some sort of retirement account. So leveraging that, and we're definitely branching into that realm and getting our more experienced guys, just some higher leverage tickets to sell and building a legitimate book of business. Because I think that's what we've been getting really, really good at, and we've been working on the past few years, is leveraging your insurance license to the fullest, where life insurance is great because it's our bread and butter, because it's easy to sell and it plays extremely quickly. But what I also love about the insurance industry is just how many different things you can put into your arsenal and your tool belt, and how high the ceiling is.
What can you do and can't you do with like not having a CFP license?
Like your Series 67?
Yeah.
There's actually quite a bit of things you can do with your life license. And so you can sell fixed index annuities. You can sell large structured whole life policies if you want to leverage that for infinite banking purposes. And then you can definitely get that license, and we have guys that have done that. But we also have advisors that are a part of our company as well, which a lot of times what our guys do, and there's certain regulations behind that too. So, we may obviously operate within the green, but you leverage them business, and they'll split you in on the commission for that, is what a lot of guys will do as well that don't have those licenses.
What are your thoughts on infinite banking?
You have to make sure the policy is structured correctly. A lot of people in life insurance, this is where you got to make sure you're working with somebody that's very ethical and above the line, where it's a great product as long as you're with the right company and you have the right product. Because basically with that is, and we can talk more about this after the podcast, because I have one of myself, and it's really great and it's awesome. Just because it's not going to make you wealthy or rich like some people portray it, but it's a great leverage point to put that into real estate or other categories. But essentially, you're paying into two buckets. You're paying towards the death benefit and fees, and you're paying towards the cash value. And so for somebody that wants a large life insurance policy and a big death benefit, that's great. But obviously, that's going to be, if you're paying into it, a lot of the premiums are going towards that. A lot of people where they come and, hey, I want to have the ability to borrow against this for real estate or other investments or whatever else. Well, then to do that, you want to drop the policy as low as possible without mecking the policy. So what that stands for is modified endowment contract. And so with insurance, and for everybody watching, this is something to be aware of. Well, when you drop the policy all the way down and you drop the death benefit and fees all the way down, you're also dropping the commissions down. So it's really important, and that's why all of our guys on our team, we watch this like a hawk, and we make sure any policies we do, and all of our guys are highly trained that you're structuring it properly, and you're structuring it to the client's best interest to make sure you're serving them and putting them in the best position. Because unfortunately, that's the one thing the insurance industry is, I hate to say it, is notorious for, is just not structuring them correctly just because they want a higher commission.
Everybody's got to make money, but
yeah,
respectfully.
Yeah, it's that's one thing we don't mess with, is just you gotta treat your clients right and be ethical, because anything I do in our guys that are a part of our team is you have to have a long-term perspective in mind, because that's how you, not only in selfishly speaking, that's the only way you win long-term. Because I just see so many people, and not even in insurance, but just in life in general, where they're just so short-sighted. Yeah. Where they're thinking about today, tomorrow, next month, it's whatever. It's like, dude, if you get out of that mindset and you just think, even if you eat shit for the next year, couple of years, but you think about the next 10 years, that's how you're going to be successful. And another example is me and my wife, we still live relatively below our means. We don't ball out, we don't do anything crazy, but we live a really good life now because we're blessed to be in a position to do that. But our first 3 years, we lived super frugally, and we invested every single dollar we made back into the business. Yeah. Didn't take any vacations, didn't take any trips. It's actually the day we got married, we eloped, and we left the office, went to church, our pastor married us, and then we actually had a business meeting right after that we drove to. That's funny. And did that. So it's, yeah, I mean, we've definitely made some sacrifices.
Yeah, Kyle and I are definitely the same. We're it's a simple math game, right? All right, here I made, insert amount of money of what I make in a year, and I decide where that money goes.
Yes.
So
yes,
as a responsible husband, father, our biggest expense, my biggest expense, your biggest expense will always be taxes. So is and always will be. 37% goes straight to Uncle Sam. Luckily, we live in Florida, and that's why you moved here. To avoid the, 8% in Illinois?
It's 5.
5?
Yep. 4.95. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's low.
I still think it's a lot.
I know, it's still high.
Last year was not fun.
Yeah, I mean, even if you make $1 million, that's still $50K. So the best investment we can make is through real estate to get the tax incentives as real estate. So, I mean, literally every penny, could I go buy the Lambo, the whatever? Yeah, sure. But I'm my great grandkids aren't going to be taken care of by me buying a Lambo, not me going and buying real estate at $400K or at $1 million, and then in 30 years it's worth whatever. That's where. But yeah, and then we saved. Without any tax strategy last year, I would owe around $1 million in taxes. I legally got it down to like 180K.
Let's go.
Yeah,
that's really good.
So over 80%.
Nice.
Just by investing in real estate.
That's amazing. I'd love to talk to you about that off podcast.
Yeah, it's easy. It's very simple. Extremely simple.
I own a couple of properties now, but would love to get more.
Yeah.
I've been looking. It's hard to find a deal.
The biggest thing for you is you don't go blow money. So like you live within your means and you have the money. So then just using it appropriately. We started a tax strategy company, CPA company, just for that reason. What's next for Prosper? How do you grow?
Keep growing and scaling.
On the recruiting front?
Yeah.
How are you recruiting?
So a lot of it's pretty much all been word of mouth. Yeah. We haven't really, we ran ads. We started running ads 3 weeks ago. I'm about to shut them off. So I'm getting a lot of applicants in. But the word of mouth is the best referral. Just the best way to find the right people. And so,
like, hey, who do you know that's like you?
Yeah. Just looking for people that, have character, have integrity, aren't afraid to have grit, aren't afraid to work hard, have a good attitude. And another thing is, I think you talk about going through adversity, just having a heart of gratitude is such a superpower. And you shared a little bit about how you grew up, and pretty similar, where my mom, she had a lot of mental battles and mental issues. But it's just even where I grew up, where the average income was $30,000 a year. And as a kid, I was looking at it, I was like, wow, if I can make $100K a year, like, I'll be set, I'll be chilling. And being into this, where we've been able to surpass that tremendously, I'm just so thankful to be able to be in the vehicle. So even on the worst days, like yesterday, me and one of my guys, Carson, we got to the office at 7:20, 7:30, didn't leave till 9 o'clock at night, like literally back to back meetings. I'm like, dude, this is a lot, and we're sacrificing a lot right now and pouring a lot into our people, but it's going to pay off. And and I was just think of anytime I get frustrated or I'm having a stressful day, I just think about how thankful I am to be in this opportunity, because 10 years ago, this is what I was praying for. And so, and it's another thing too, where, and I was just telling our guys this on our morning sales training the other day, where you and me and everybody watching this is the most energy we're ever gonna have in our life. And if you're in a situation where you're young, and especially if you don't have kids, or your kids are young, if you're
I talk about this all the time.
Yeah, if your kids are like 6 months old, 1 year old, that's one thing. But if they're 5, 6, 8, like, you got to spend time with them. You got to be a dad. But like, if they're young or you don't have kids, it's like, dude, that is your time to lock in and set yourself up. And for me and my wife Claudia, we're sacrificing our 20s so we can live our 30s, 40s, and 50s the way we want to live.
Amen, bro. Yeah. I say all the time, they probably get tired of me saying it all the time to our whole entire team. If you're single, or even if you're dating or married, but you have no kids, like, now's your time. Like, because once you have kids, that is all over with. Unless you want to be a deadbeat dad, which I don't want our team to be deadbeat dads or deadbeat moms.
Yes.
My wife actually gave me the biggest compliment she's probably ever given me. That's all me and you want, is just a compliment from our wives, right? She was talking about, I got to be careful because this person listens to the podcast. Individual in our life is going through a tough time, and it was like having an absolute breakdown. The wife has said the husband's having an absolute breakdown about it. She was like, I've known you for 13 years. I've never seen you have a breakdown. And I was like, yeah, we keep things even kill. I'm like, now, if you could look inside my head, there'd be a absolute breakdown. Mm-hmm. But it's just, I think it's the key to success entrepreneur, where there's going to be things that we can't control that happens, and all we can do is control what we can control.
Just like a duck. Like a duck is above surface, they're calm, they're chilling. Below surface, they're paddle, paddle, paddle. Yeah.
Do you think a one-legged duck swims in circles?
I never thought about it. Maybe. I don't know if I've ever seen a one-legged duck. Can find out.
All right, let's end with this, because you go to 3 o'clock, and it's 2:58. Every podcast I end with the podcast being on successful DNA. Success is a different definition for each person, but what is inside of someone, what's in their DNA, maybe 2 or 3 things that is like a non-negotiable, in your opinion, to have success?
Short-term success or long-term success?
Both? Is that possible?
Oh, for sure. For sure. So for short-term is grit. Long-term is grit, gratitude, and character. Because if you have grit, that is the base. Because when you're first starting in business, when you're first starting in business, you want to work hard. But if you want longevity and you want tenure, you need to work consistently. Consistency is the name of the game. And so, the one thing my dad really instilled in me is just your reputation is so important. It takes years to build a good reputation. It all could be destroyed like that by 1 or 2 dumb decisions. And so, grit is the formula, and that's where it starts. But you have to, in the process, and consistently and simultaneously be developing your character and be developing yourself as a person and increasing your skill set, increasing your relationships, meeting new people, forming alliances, forming partnerships, because you're never going to build a big business being a one-man show. And the only way high-level people are going to associate with you or do business with you is based on your character. And people are smart. People are even people that have a very low IQ, they can still tell because it's so ingrained into our DNA. Whereas, like, when you're talking to someone, you're like, that guy's full of shit. And it's like, I don't even know why, but like, it. It's like you can smell it from a mile away. So
Yeah.
Even if you think you're fooling people, you're not fooling people. So be true to yourself, be genuine, be authentic. Most importantly, operate out of character and integrity. And then in the process, it's gratitude's so important. I think it's very easy to get burnt out or take small things out of perspective or let things blow up if you don't have a heart of gratitude. And because the truth is, people don't get burnt out by working hard. I mean, I've been working hard for 7 years, and I'm great. I live a great quality of life. You work very hard as well. You're building a business. People get burnt out when they're not seeing results or they don't have the ability to emotionally regulate. And so on top of that, like you said, just the ability to stay even keel. Like the Chinese are great at that. Like the Chinese they're probably the masters of, they talk about don't get drunk on your own success. They don't look at, I was talking about looking at 10-year runs. They look at 100-year runs. And so the truth is when things are going really well, it's not going as good as you think. And when things are going really bad, it's not as bad as you think. That's what I've learned.
Amen. Well, thanks for coming, bro. That was fun.
Thank you. This is an awesome operation you got set up.
Thanks, dude. Where can people find more about you?
So if you want to follow me on Instagram, Jonah Lewis, JONAH Lewis LEWIS. I'm also on YouTube. We post a podcast every week. We put out a good amount of long form content as well. Just type in Jonah Lewis on YouTube.
Cool. Thanks, bro.
Thank you for having me on.
Yep.